Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super-Fanta-Fi. This being a show where I talk about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and or science fiction genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Supernatural. Another great episode filled with many surprises. It was kind of almost a run-of-the-mill case. It was kind of interesting just the way the approach of the episode began, basically being like, oh yeah, like Sam's like, yo, Dean, let's work on this case together. When's the last time we worked on a case like solely by ourselves? And I was like, okay. Then he's offering Dean a beer and saying like, oh, let's go to a strip club, which he weirdly enough reviewed, which is like, I don't know why that struck me as even weird. I'm surprised Dean didn't say nothing about that. Cause I was like, you reviewed a strip club for me. Okay. But it's like, the fact is he reviewed a strip club, that just seems so weird. I don't know why. That doesn't seem like the thing. I guess that just fits with Sam's personality, but it's like, it's weird the thought of like reviewing a strip club. I mean, they are places of businesses, so they would have reviews, wouldn't they? I don't know. It's something I just never thought about till now, I guess. I don't know. But it seems the reason why Sam is doing all that because like Dean doesn't believe and it's like he's worried. He's trying to help his brother in any shape or form. Try to figure this all out, try to help him, like, doing everything he can to be like, oh yeah, let me kind of throw a little good stuff your way, to help you through this, I guess, get you out of your slump a little bit. Which you see Dean kind of partaking in it this episode. But I mean, main thing about this episode was about a guy named Meadows, particular Avery Meadows. Basically, we're dealing with his ghost in this episode. Kind of your typical case with some interesting aspects, which I'll get to soon enough. Essentially, he would lobotomize people and then experiment on the people that survived the lobotomy. And eventually he was killed, turned into a ghost. The reason why he came after... It's super sad because the reason why things kind of played out the way they did with the one that got away in this episode, Sean, is because Sean like took the mask. And I was like, how did he do that? I was like, I know Sean took the mask and everything, but how did he get this? I was like, oh, he possessed Sean, had Sean go all the way back. Because thought something was weird. I was like, wait. I thought they would have noticed like a missing mask, but I was like, no, there's 4 masks here. I was like, were there that many before? I was like, how did that? And it's like, oh, well, they explained it because Sean brought it back and then killed himself because he was possessed, which was like, that super sucks. This is an episode, like, at least in some episodes, there's like a victory to a certain extent, which there was one, I guess, technically. But this episode was a big part of just kind of being on the losing end. And it kind of plays into Dean's whole story, just kind of the fact that he's given up. But obviously in this episode, he killed himself just so he could talk to the spirits. Which, has that come up before? I guess it has. The whole aspect of some spirits not being strong enough to kind of push over just because they're stuck in kind of that between the different, God, what's the, not really realms. I guess realms would be kind of the right word. I can't remember if that's ever come up in the show before. Maybe it has. I guess it kind of applies just kind of like hellhounds. I mean, hellhounds are invisible too, but I think that's just kind of a different thing on itself. But nevertheless, it's just so interesting. Like, it's like, oh, that Reaper ran. It's like, oh, Dean Winchester. I was like, oh, this is about to turn ugly. They're not going to let you live because of the whole Billy situation. Because she said, like, yeah, because especially because you killed their boss. You killed Death back in like season 10's finale. He killed Death, and I was like, oh, that's going to come back to bite you in the ass now. It's like, oh, they're not going to let you live. And it's like, then lo and behold, freaking Billy. Did not see that coming. I knew they were playing up the whole thing in the beginning, but I thought that was going to play in the role of, because really quickly, there was something interesting that Billy had said, and like it showed it in a previous episode. Did not catch it. It meant something now and played in retrospect. Is the fact is that she was like, oh, we'll throw you to the empty. Like, you don't come back from now. I was like, shut up. They were mentioning that then. It makes you wonder, like, it's one of those things. So it's like, when it comes to writing, it's like, how far back do people like know something in advance? Did they already have this whole concept of the empty already ready in their back pocket and he just teased it back then? Because when she said that, I didn't really think much of it. I think at the time, because that was like, what, season 12? Yeah, that was definitely last season when Billy died. And I forgot. No, she's popped up subsequently since, like, because she popped up in season 11, didn't she? Or was season 12 the first time she popped? I want to say season 11 was around the time she first popped. So that might have had something to do with season 11. She definitely died in season 12 when Cass killed her. But nevertheless, it made me think, like, so was she referencing just the empty, just like throw you out there in the void and make you live there forever? Which I guess that's technically what the empty is. But it seemed like the empty is more so for like angels and demons. But I guess because of Winchester so special, it's just like you've come back so many damn times after dying. It's like, we're going to put you somewhere special because you're so special. Man, but that was just that immediately caught my brain. But the fact of the matter is Billy's back. And I love the concept of like, well, what happens is Death gets reincarnated. Because I was like, in retrospect, it's like, well, of course, because it's kind of a situation of there needs to be death. Because that still is something I brought up. I think I brought that up a little earlier this season about the whole aspect of death, referenced that like years ago and like many seasons ago, that even God would get reaped at one point in time. I think it was around the time, probably around season 5 when they were collecting the rings of the different horsemen to seal away Lucifer. I think that might have been around the time that conversation came up. But in this particular case, I mean, now that like Billy's become death and everything, makes me wonder about like, is that still a possibility or not? But nevertheless, that's just so interesting that the moment Death dies, Death is reincarnated as the Reaper that dies last, and she was the most recent Reaper to die. So, could that be could that fall in the category of the cosmic consequences? Because once again, we still haven't gotten to that because Jack was already conceived by that point. But maybe, and it's still like that thing I'm wondering about is him. Maybe the moment like Jack created an alternate, like rip open to the alternate reality, that it has something to do with that. Because a big thing in this episode was about Billy being like, well, the fact of the matter is, normally, I'd want you to stay dead. But she's like, I noticed something different. You're not fighting me. You told me release the spirits and everything. You didn't even ask me. You're not even fighting me to send you back. It's because you want to die, don't you? Because Dean's just given up. Like, after everything they've been through their entire lives, he's always believed that, hey, we're making a difference. We're doing something. And so he brings up the Sam later on. But it's like, for him, he can't believe anymore. He doesn't believe. It's just like, no matter how much they fight, there's always kind of another battle around the corner, and there's more people that die, the people that they love. They've lost so many. They lost their dad. They lost Bobby. They've lost so many people along the road. Now it's their mom and Cass. It's just, these were the final hits, especially hitting you hard with your mom too, because it's like your mom like came back and you lost her again. Cass has been by your side. He's like your best friend. He's almost like another brother to you. So it's understandable. Because I think amongst anyone, Dean probably believed hardest, and because of that, his belief was shattered. But for Billy, it's like, I might despise you, the whole situation. I'd love to keep you dead, but no, you have to go back. Because now that she's in that position, she realizes probably now like what Death originally saw. Because initially she was like, Death kept you around because he thought you were amusing, but now it's like, no, Death kept them around maybe because they are important. Dean thinks they're insignificant. It's like, I don't think you're insignificant considering all the stuff that's ever happened. To be fair, I guess you could argue, well, a lot of stuff that happened that transpires is like, you kind of played a role in that. Like, you kind of released Amaru by trying to get rid of the mark of Cain. So then there's a whole situation of you and your brother kind of inadvertently rising Lucifer back in season 4. So it's a give and take. Like, there's always something. They're kind of played a role in Angels Falling. There is so much that's kind of stacked against them, but it's like some cosmic thing is, on some level, Billy's like, that's interesting because Billy knows that to some cosmic level that something is not right. Something went a little weird in the cosmos, but she didn't know exactly what it was. That thing being Jack. When he was born, he tore open that hole into another world, which makes me wonder, is the fact is Jack going to be something they're going to have to deal with in the future? Like, Billy's definitely going to be keeping an eye on him because, like, as Death, she probably wants to keep some cosmic balance. And now, like, Jack is there messing with it, especially the fact is that, like, obviously, they run into Cass at the end of the episode. So, not only can Jack rip open to a hole to another world, but he can tap into a world that shouldn't be able to be reached by anyone, that being the empty. So it's like, he's too dangerous to be kept around. But then again, it's like, we know he can't be killed. But we don't know for sure though, because even if God can be reaped, maybe Jack can be too, and maybe that's something we'll deal with in the future. Now that he's on Billy's radar because of Dean giving her that information. I also thought it was kind of interesting, that book, like those shelves or whatever. She's like, oh, this is basically every possible way that you could die, and it's like, oh, dying this day is not in any of the books, so you have to live because you're important. You still got work to do. To both him and Sam, is like, what is that work? I have no idea. It's like, they still got a part to play in this, and it makes sense because Jack is a piece to this because he still needed, because whatever role he plays in this, they will probably be a deciding factor in what role Jack plays in this whole cosmic thing. Plus, there's probably that hole to that other world. There's probably like, now that that door's been opened, there's a possibility that it might not be completely shut, you know? So that's also something to worry about too. Because I was wondering, because they went through so much to introduce that other world in season 12's finale, like especially the way the demons are mutated in that world too. So it begs the question of like, that's going to have something to cross over into this world in some shape or form. I mean, last time we left off was Lucifer and Michael kind of like being like, oh, Michael's like, I need him. Like, I figured that was, I don't know. We'll still have to wait and see about that. But it's just, they also got Dean asking about his mom, but Billy knocked him away. I'm sure that's just because it's like she knew that Mary wasn't alive, but she just did that just to kind of spite him, letting him keep thinking, she can't give him a middle finger like she'd want to, like letting him stay dead. But now it's like maybe that was her way of kind of being like, or basically she knows he'll find out soon enough. So, like I said, a crazy episode altogether with just that reveal and all that information. I am curious to see, like, I mean, what this ultimately all amounts to. Once again, we still need to find out what that cosmic consequence, because I feel like if it was a cosmic consequence that Castiel caused by killing Billy, by, during going back on that deal that the Sam and Dean made with her. So the fact of the matter is, it's like, it has to be connected to Jack, but I feel like if it was, it'd be like, oh, these are the consequences. They've yet to be like, these are the consequences. They would be super blatant about it if that was the case. So I'm curious to see how that all plays out going forward, especially when Cass returned, especially Dean was so down, but now it's like, hey, there's a little hope left. Hey, Cass is back. But it's like, whoa, what happened? Find out about the big, the empty. I was about to call it the big empty because I think that was the title of the last episode. But also like what this means for Jack, him and Castiel. It's like maybe Cass will be there to kind of be more the father figure again. I'm so interested to see how that goes. Also, a quick side note, something I meant to bring up earlier. Sean's mom in this episode is the actress who plays Olivia in 12 Monkeys. What I think is so interesting, because there's the whole aspect of the plague mask that plays a role in 12 Monkeys. So I don't know whether they did that on purpose. Was that like wink wink nudge nudge casting, or was that just coincidence? I don't think that's coincidence. I think that was on purpose. They did it, because it doesn't necessarily play like a vital role in 12 Monkeys, but it plays a signature role for the witness. So that's why I'm like, which if you've never seen 12 Monkeys, that means absolutely nothing to you, but I don't know. I feel like that was on purpose. That had to be like a wink and a nod, maybe, but I could be completely wrong. So like I said, a great episode. I love that reveal like that. So I definitely think we're going to be definitely seeing a lot more of Billy this season. Well, maybe a lot, but we'll definitely be crossing paths of her, which is interesting. Is that the first time we've ever seen like Death headquarters? I don't think we've ever seen that across the board, because anytime they met with Death, it was like in this world, like, so that was, I guess that's their little space, just like the demon, like, the king of hell kind of has his own little section. We don't really know where that is in relativity to hell. Is that like at the heart of hell? Is it like one giant building? Is it a dungeon in hell? There's those places in heaven too that were like, they have jail cells, they have offices essentially. So I don't know, I guess just Reapers have their own place too. Like I said, they've never actually shown that before now, so that was just kind of interesting. Reapers like not even get what angels or demons get. The fact of the matter is, has that ever been discussed, how Reapers came to be, how a Reaper became a Reaper? I don't know. Also makes you wonder, is the Death that we knew prior to Billy, had he been that version of Death forever, or was that said Death a reincarnation of a previous Death? Does Death even get reaped? Because like I said, Death's an eternal thing, much like life. There has to be death. So now it's in retro. Because I was wondering about that too. It's like, what happens to other Reapers now that Death's gone? Like, it's not like Death disappears from the world. Reapers are still in play, but I guess that makes more sense why things didn't fall apart, because there has to be a balance to everything. So the moment Billy died, she came back as a new death, because it needs to be one for that balance. So I'm curious to see, like, will we get a look at what Billy saw kind of like upon getting his job and everything. So like I said, it's kind of a very bittersweet episode, especially because at the end you see Sean's mom crying over his body. Like, they couldn't save him, and it's one of those episodes where it's like no one could be saved. Just because they didn't know what was going down in that particular situation. I mean, that's the thing. The Winchesters aren't omnipotent. They know that something happened that scared Sean, but he wasn't talking just because he was so terrified. But maybe if he was able to describe what he saw, I don't know if that would have changed anything, because they wouldn't have known that Sean took the mask or anything. Like I said, at the time they didn't know it was a spirit and everything, so I don't know. But like I said, I'm very interested to see what goes down in the next episode with all these new developments. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.